Well, I believe that there is a general consensus among the members of the Consultative Committee that this self-executing provision is long overdue. Remember that the 1986 Constitution enshrined this provision exactly to level the political playing field, because we have had this issue of dynastic politics among the political ruling class or the political elites. And this provision was actually introduced by a renowned constitutionalist back then, Commissioner Jose Noledo. And curiously, this provision was actually opposed by a group led by then Commissioner Christian Monsod. So now we are actually trying to fulfill the promise of that provision and making it stronger in trying to level the playing field.
Of course, questions remain on whether this could hurdle Congress, which is dominated by members of a lot of political dynasties now. Are you bullish that this will somehow survive Congress?
Oh, well, of course, we need to frame this as part of the democratic consolidation process and a necessary reform to bring our democracy forward. And if we are going to shift to federalism, and that means granting more power to the local level, especially to the regions, it is incumbent upon our political leaders to be part of a grand bargain. And the grand bargain is for them to agree to give part of their political privileges as it exists right now to the people in order for us to make this shift to federalism work. And I think this is a call for their patriotic sense to give a part of their privilege. Because if we were going to reboot the system and if we're going to try to reform the system, it would be better for all the political players to begin at the same starting line. And after this, then if your family is really accepted by the people and your brand of service is really appreciated by the people, then your family will survive in the succeeding elections.
Okay, on that note, thank you, Dr. Julio Teehankee. Thanks a lot for sharing with us your thoughts on an expected meeting tomorrow by the Constitutional Committee. Thank you. Also giving his thoughts on the Monday meeting of the Consultative Committee, we have on the line committee member, Professor Edmund Tayaw. Thanks for taking our call, Professor.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, we were talking to Dr. Julio Teehankee a while ago. You must have heard portions of it. He is bullish that it will get somehow the support of most of Congress, particularly the anti-dynasty provisions. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, of course, we have to anticipate how Congress is going to react as far as this proposal is concerned as a body, no? And to be honest, not all of them are as what we think they are, that because they belong to political dynasties, that they wouldn't see the logic and wisdom of having this particular provision, this time executory and no longer requiring further act by Congress, no, in the event that the new constitution is passed. But apart from that, also, I'm sure, as Dean July was saying earlier, we are expecting that the patriotic sense of most of the members of Congress, both houses of Congress, would win over this particular proposal, so that in the end they would understand the long-term impact of redesigning the whole system so that our public institutions become better and stronger public institutions.
Yes, Dr. Teehankee a while ago said it is important that they adopt this or they embrace this as we move to a federal form of government. Do you share the same view?
Yeah, of course. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to empower Congress further. In fact, if you're going to look at the design, intended not only here in ConCom, but in many of the different groups that so far came up with their own proposals, their own constitution. it makes a lot of sense that the House of Representatives get to have more powers. No? But for that to happen, there has to be, a trade-off. I mean, you can't just give more powers in the House of Representatives and more powers at the local level, from the regional to the local level, without this particular trade-off or this exchange. No? And apart from that, as I was emphasizing earlier, this is part of the whole systemic redesign, no? So that in the end, we'll have real political parties working. No? And therefore, we will have a better process of electing the right people in the right positions.
Yes. Do you think that voters are also prepared for something like this?
Well, right now, of course, it's not like most of the public already understands it. That's why, precisely, if you look at our timetable, we are very much aware that there's a need to go around and inform the public, engage them, not only inform them, but also get their sense. So, but at the end of the day, Stanley, what we're doing is, from our vantage point, from our perspective, we wouldn't know exactly how the different sectors and peoples would input their own, coming from their own perspective. At the end of the day, the whole process should reflect the constitution of the whole country, of the Filipino people, not just the constitution of the ConCom or the constitution of the president or a particular group.
And we already know that the anti-political dynasty provision is already a handful. Now, are there other important discussions or perhaps subtopics that would be tackled in tomorrow's meeting?
There's so much more. I mean, the last week has been a very productive week for the Consultative Committee. We've also agreed that, and I think it was already a consensus that the president, this time the voting of the president and vice president would be a ticket. Again, it's part of the whole sense of not only strengthening the political party, but avoiding those instances that the vice president is always waiting for the president to give way, and hand over the reins of the government. Not only that, it also paves the way for a more programmatic discussion during elections, precisely because you're voting for a ticket, you're voting for a team. So that among others, there's also a consensus that political parties will now be declared as public institutions. They will no longer be as it is right now, that they're public institutions only every election, and that the public only has access to their accounts, only insofar as what they file in their statement of accounts, each election period. This time around, regardless of day and period in the year, the political parties have to be subject to the same accounting and auditing procedure as any public office. They can raise their own funds, and because they can raise their own funds, that means they can develop their own bureaucracy, they can develop their professional people, and hopefully in the end, as I've said, there's a better process of selecting the right candidates to run for office.